Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So makeup collection and declutter week for 2020 is here. I am so excited. I have been ready for this since like October. In case you're new to my channel, every single year in January, I film a series of 5 videos going through my entire makeup collection. I show you literally everything that I have. I swatch a bunch of stuff, and then we declutter anything that I'm not using so that it can go to a new home or go to the trash because it's really old and grimy. So we're gonna be kicking things off this week with Complexion products, which is what I normally do. Then tomorrow we're gonna be doing all the cheek stuff, blush, bronzer, highlight, face palettes. Wednesday is gonna be eyes and brows, so my eyeshadow singles, mascara, liner, brow products, all that goodness. Thursday should be lip products, and then the grand finale will be eyeshadow palettes because I know y'all love eyeshadow palettes. Now I know today's video and all of the videos in this series are going to be very long, so I'm going to try to keep this intro brief, but if you are joining in mid-series, I will link my declutter playlist for you guys up here in the cards so you can catch up on any videos that you missed, or if you feel like binge watching my videos from the last several years, you can do that too. And inevitably, because someone will leave a comment and ask, no, I do not give away my used makeup to my subscribers. I love you guys. I do try to do giveaways here every once in a while, but when it comes to my used makeup, I personally feel more comfortable giving it away to friends and family or people in my local community, like the theater that I volunteer at. There are many reasons why, from the cost of shipping a whole bunch of packages to a lot of you guys, to having to pick who's gonna get what. Like, I just don't even want to open that can of worms. So with all that being said, we've got lots of makeup goodness to take a look at together. So let's get into my Complexion collection. So we're gonna kick things off today with primers. Now this should be fairly easy for me because I'm not a huge primer person. I definitely have my favorites. So I kind of already know right off the bat which of these I want to keep and which I want to declutter. So my favorite primer that I have in my collection right now is this right here. This is the old packaging in the old tube that I'm trying to finish up. This one I just repurchased. It's the Coats Face Sunscreen. It's slightly tinted and it's an amazing face primer. So I love that this has SPF. It also preps your skin really nicely for makeup. It has a very smoothing, pore blurring effect to it. So for me, this is kind of like a 2-in-1 in that it basically allows me to do my sunscreen and my priming in one step, which is why I like it so much, and it's not ridiculously expensive. I think it is under $25. So I'm definitely keeping both of these two. So I'm gonna try to finish this one up in the next couple of months and then start cracking into this guy, which means that I can declutter this right here. This was the Coola Daydream Mineral Primer. This was the sunscreen primer I had been using previously, but it honestly is just dried up. It's a little bit old at this point. I think I've had it for definitely over a year, maybe close to 2 at this point, and I know the sunscreen ingredients in here expire in 2020, so I'm definitely going to need to get rid of this. Also, I can't even pump it anymore. I need to scrape it out with a spatula because the product itself has kind of thickened up. It doesn't have the same consistency that it used to, which automatically tells me that it's not really good anymore. But I did really like this primer when it was fresh. This one also does have a mineral SPF in it. It has SPF 30. It's very similar in texture to the Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer, but it is less expensive, which is awesome. Another one that's old that I definitely need to let go of is this Ren Perfect Canvas Silicone-Free Skin Finishing Serum. This is a really nice product. It is just very pricey. I like that it's clean, but it does have a lot of like fruit enzymes and extracts in it, so it's got a bit of fragrance to it. It honestly smells legit, just like Juicy Juice, which I like, but I don't know how great that is for your skin. I like that this has no silicone in it. I used to wear this a lot in the summertime when my skin is really oily to kind of help control shine. But at this point, this is, I think, over 2 years old, and the expiration says 9 months on the back. So I think it's just about time that we part ways. I do, however, have another silicone-free option, which is this guy here from Good Molecules. It's their new silicone-free priming moisturizer. I've been loving this winter because it's very hydrating without being thick, greasy, heavy. It just preps your skin really nicely for makeup if it's feeling a little bit dry, and you can use this with or without makeup. It's really just a good moisturizer, so you can use it day or night. I think I'm also going to keep my little trio here of Too Faced primers. I have the Primed and Peachy, which is a little bit more of a Pore Filling Primer and then the Hangover RX. This one I definitely need to make an effort to try to use up in the first half of this year because I know it's getting a little bit old, but this is, again, kind of more like a moisturizer. It's silicone free. It's really nice when I feel like my skin is feeling a little dehydrated, whereas this is nice if I want to really fill in pores and kind of smooth my skin out. But since I do enjoy all of them and none of them are super old, I'm gonna hold on to those. As well as this guy right here, which is the Benefit Professional. I just got this in PR maybe only a couple months ago. I haven't even had a chance to open it up and use it yet. So I think I might hold off still on taking the seal off just so that it will stay fresh longer because I do have so many other primers open, but it's been such a long time since I've tested this out. I do kind of want to give it a go again. So with all that being said, I think I'm going to declutter my No Problem primer from Touch in Sol. I do like this. I think it does do a nice job of kind of smoothing out the skin and allowing your makeup to go on nicely on top of it. I just know that this is already a year old and I haven't really gone through too much of it, and I have a ton of other primer to get through, so I'm not going to be able to finish this before it expires. And it's just not my favorite compared to everything else that I have in my collection. It doesn't do enough for me to control shine when I am oily, but it's also not moisturizing enough for those times where my skin is dehydrated. So I think maybe a friend of mine will enjoy this, so I'm gonna pass it along while it's still good. Then there's this guy here, which is kind of a weird product. This is that Becca Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer. I do kind of like this product. I definitely haven't been reaching for it enough recently. It's supposed to kind of help to prime your under eye area before you put concealer on, and I think it can help kind of just smooth things out and make sure your concealer doesn't look quite as cakey. So I'm gonna hold on to this, but I definitely needed to put it in a place where I remember to use it. And then finally, I've got two samples here, one of the Tatcha Silk Canvas and the other of this Cover FX Water Cloud Primer. I just got this with a recent Ulta purchase, so I definitely am gonna be testing this out and I wanna keep it. And I think I'm going to hold on to the Silk Canvas too. This is such an expensive primer that I have not gone out and purchased the full size. I basically said to myself, until I used this up, I'm not allowed to even consider spending $50-something on the full size. I know this is a little bit old, but so far I think the texture and the smell hasn't gone off yet, so I'm going to try to use this guy up, and if by like halfway through the year it's not finished, I think I'm just going to need to throw it away. Then we move into my collection of foundations, where honestly, I don't think I'm going to be doing a ton of decluttering just because I know some of these I already have made really good progress on and I'm going to finish them up in the next couple of months anyway. But I definitely feel like I don't need to buy any new foundation for a while. The newest thing I've added to my collection is this Too Faced Peach Perfect Comfort Matte Foundation. I absolutely love this stuff. I think it looks so beautiful and so natural on the skin. It's got a nice satiny finish to it. It wears nicely on me throughout the day. It doesn't like break apart or cake up or look weird at all. So this is something I know I'm definitely going to be getting a lot of use out of in the first half of 2020, along with some of the other foundations that I'm going to try to finish up. Like for example, this Purlisse Perfect Glow BB Cream. This is almost empty. There's really not that much left in here, so I am definitely trying to pan this. This is one of those products I reach for on the everyday because it's got some sunscreen in it. It gives, I would say, a pretty solid medium coverage, and it definitely gives your skin a nice natural finish. It's not mattifying at all, but if you set it down with powder, you can wear it even if you have oily skin. So this is something I do enjoy and I'm gonna try to finish up soon. And then you can clearly see that these bottles of Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Foundation have been well loved and are on their way to being finished up. This is like my favorite foundation. It's been my holy grail for the longest time just because I feel like it makes your skin look beautiful without making it also look like a mask. It's got awesome coverage. It's very lightweight on the skin. It wears beautifully. It's perfect if you have oily skin. I just absolutely love this stuff. So I have two different shades so that way I can kind of like mix them together to create the perfect shade for me depending on what time of the year it is. So I have macadamia and latte. Latte works for me all by itself in the summer, but macadamia was always a little bit too light for me. I don't know why I bought the shade in the first place, but I do definitely still use it and use it to lighten up latte so that way I can wear this in the winter. But I know both of these bottles are old, so I would like to try to use them up. I don't feel like the formula's gone off on me yet. Like, they definitely still wear perfectly nicely, but I'd like to try to finish these guys up. And at the very least, I'm not allowed to repurchase a new one until I do. And honestly, most of these other foundations that I have, I really do enjoy. I think the only one I'm not a fan of is this Pure Flesh foundation. This I talked about in a disappointing products video at the end of 2019, just because I felt like it was weird on my skin. It was very finicky. Because I have a little bit of texture on my skin, I felt like this really enhanced it, and I really had to prep my skin with a ton of moisturizer to make it go on nicely, but it also doesn't really have a ton of coverage. I do have some friends in my life that have like beautiful skin that I think would be a shade match for this, so honestly, I might just pass this guy along because maybe one of them would like it better, because I really don't particularly enjoy reaching for this foundation. I basically make myself use it to try to use it up, and that's no fun. I think I may also actually declutter this ColourPop No Filter foundation because it's kind of old and I like it, but this shade is not the best match for me except for at like the height of summer when I have a tan. So I always have to mix it with something else, which means I just go through it so much more slowly, and I know it's already like at least a year and a half, if not 2 years old. So I don't know, maybe it's time to just part with this. That way I can focus more on using up some of these other foundations. But yeah, all the rest of these, I think I'd like to keep. The Pretty Vulgar Cool AF foundation I said was my favorite of 2019. This is beautiful. The Too Faced Born This Way is a really nice, very natural looking foundation, and this is fairly new. The Tarte Found and Face Tape, these I both purchased in 2019 and I enjoyed them a lot. This I have been wearing a lot more recently just because it's a little bit more hydrating than the Face Tape is. It has more of a satin finish, and since my skin's been more dehydrated all winter, I've been enjoying this a little bit more, but I'm sure I'll return right back to Face Tape as soon as it gets a little bit warmer. This right here, the Maybelline Superstay, I feel a little bit torn about. This is a gorgeous foundation if what you're looking for is like ultra glam, full coverage matte foundation. I just had the hardest time finding the right shade for myself. I had originally had a different color. It was too dark, so I got a lighter one. This is number 128 Warm Nude. And it's still pretty dark on me. Like this definitely, especially once it dries down and it oxidizes a little bit, like it looks way too dark for me to wear at this time of year. So I just haven't been reaching for it as much. Also, because my skin is not as oily, this is something I tend to prefer in the summer months, but I know I bought this last year, so I'm going to hold on to it because it definitely is not too old. Then I've got my Nabla foundation. I ordered this last spring from the Nabla website, and I really like this. It's very similar to the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion. Maybe a little bit less long wearing, but honestly, very similar formulas, and this is so much more inexpensive. So if you can't afford the Laura Mercier and or you want something cruelty-free, this is a great alternative to that one. And then finally, the one and only stick foundation in my collection, which is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Stick Foundation. I actually don't hate this. I think it can look pretty nice on the skin, especially if you don't over apply it. It provides pretty decent coverage and it will wear well. A little will go a long way. So I just kind of buff a little bit onto my skin for like quick and easy everyday makeup looks, and I enjoy it. Moving on to concealers. So this is what I've currently got in my collection, which surprisingly was actually not as bad as I thought. Probably because I ended up decluttering a few concealers earlier in 2019. I tested a lot out in 2019 because there were so many concealer launches, but several of them I didn't really like, so I ended up passing them along to friends to test out, so that way they wouldn't just sit around in my collection and expire. So this is what we have left, and I definitely know at least a couple of these are used up, and I'm pretty happy and pretty proud of myself and like ready to move them out of my collection. The first of which is this Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I did some damage on this guy right here. Like I very rarely finish up a concealer as much as I finish up this guy, so I feel like I got my money's worth with this, and knowing how much other concealer I have, I think at this point like it's okay to throw this away and move on to something else. But I love this concealer. It was the one that I said was my favorite of 2019. I don't know how I had never tried this concealer like previous to last year, but it is such a good one. It is beautiful, not too heavy, doesn't ever look dry on the under eyes, but it still provides like decent coverage, and it's like $6. You can't beat it. So love the Maybelline Fit Me. but it's time to say goodbye to this guy. The other one I think I'm going to be able to say goodbye to is this Bare Minerals Bare Pro Stick Concealer. I actually really enjoyed this guy a lot. It's beautiful for covering up imperfections on the face. I don't love it as much for the under eye because it's a little bit thick, but it definitely stays in place really well and provides really great coverage. So if I'm using like a lighter coverage BB cream, I can just use this almost like a mini stick foundation to add coverage where I need it. And there is just the littlest nub left of this guy. I can't twist it up any more than this. So I feel pretty good about that. I maybe can get like 1 or 2 more uses out of this, but then after that, it's toast. So we can say goodbye to the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Stick Concealer for 2020. We had a good run, but I think it's time for us to go our separate ways. And then there's the rest of this stuff. The newest thing I just recently added to my collection is this NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. I really like this a lot, actually. It provides beautiful coverage. It blends out like a dream. It looks nice on the under eyes and all over the face. So this is something I'm definitely keeping because I just bought it. I'm also definitely going to keep my Tarte Shape Tape because this is like my holy grail favorite concealer. You guys have probably heard about this a gajillion times and I don't really need to say much about it, but I love it. It's not going anywhere. And I also honestly really love this Too Faced foundation. Like this one is pretty much neck and neck with the Tarte Shape Tape for me because they're both beautiful full coverage foundations. This one is maybe slightly less drying even. And I have 2 shades. I have vanilla and golden beige. To be honest, both of these are pretty old. I was gifted these from Too Faced when the concealers originally launched, which I think was like 2 years ago. They seem to perform perfectly fine. Like they don't smell weird. They're not going on weirdly, so I don't really want to throw them away yet. But I know that these are things like I should make a concerted effort to try to use up because they're kind of old. And of course, I do have a brand new one, a backup that I was gifted more recently from an event I went to with Too Faced in 2019. So I definitely don't need to repurchase, which is nice. So I'm going to hold on to all these, but I think these guys in particular are not going to make it past 2020. The rest of these, what do I want to do? I think I will hold on to these 2 Maybelline concealers because they're fairly new. I bought these both in 2019. The Superstay one I really haven't tested out that much. And the Master Conceal was like an old favorite that I repurchased, and it is a pretty decent concealer. This one does not have a doe foot, it's just a squeeze tube, which I actually really like because it's way more hygienic than literally any of these other products. So these I think I'm gonna keep. And then these guys, are giving me a little bit more of a hard time. I think the Ulta Beauty Concealer, this I bought in 2019, so it's newer. I tested it out a little bit, I liked it, but I didn't like fall in love with it. But I probably could give it another couple of tries, so I think I'm gonna hold on to this. This Nabla Concealer though, I don't really like this formula. Every time I use this, I feel like it looks really dry, especially on my under eyes. It makes me look really creepy, which is really unfortunate because I like the concealer so much and I love so many other things from Nabla. I think the only reason I've been holding on to this is because I like Nabla so much. I don't know. Maybe I can give it like one more go, try it out on the face, but if I really don't like it after using it one more time, I need to just declutter it because there's really no point in me holding on to it if I have so many other concealers to use. And then finally, these 2 guys. I really like both of these concealers, but they're old, and so I don't know what I want to do. The Naked Skin from Urban Decay is a beautiful concealer, but they discontinued it and replaced it with their new Stay Naked formula, which I haven't tried yet. This is very similar though to the Maybelline Fit Me, so I know if I want something similar to this, I can at least still go repurchase the Maybelline, and it's a lot cheaper. So I think I'm just gonna throw this away. Like, it's gotta be several years old at this point, and you can't even get this stuff anymore. And this Wander one, I know it's old, but I really like it. Especially the stick concealer side of this, I think is so beautiful. It's really creamy. It gives such gorgeous coverage, and like I still have a fair amount of it left. Maybe I can just try to make a concerted effort to use up at least the stick side of this. Like, I don't really care for the liquid concealer all that much, but the stick is so good. And now that I don't have another stick concealer, I think I'm just gonna keep this. So if you were watching my channel in 2019 and you saw this series when I did it last year, my powder collection was not this out of control. I don't know what the heck happened to me this year, but I went a little nuts with the setting powder and powder foundations, and now I just have like way too many. Like, this is way too much for me personally to ever use up before the stuff expires. So I feel like we definitely need to do some decluttering here because I don't need to keep all of this. The tough part though is figuring out what the heck to get rid of from this, because I actually like most of these powders. There aren't any that I like absolutely hate and can immediately say like, no, I don't need that. So this might end up being a little challenging, to say the least. So let's start easy. Let me show you the ones that I know I definitely 100% am keeping because I know I really, really like them and don't want to be without them. The Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder is probably my favorite powder in my entire collection, and it is probably the most affordable. This stuff is so beautiful. It sets your makeup down gorgeously. It keeps you matte all day. It gives your skin this lovely airbrushed finish. Like, it's awesome. So 100% definitely keeping this. And I also know I'm definitely going to keep my Too Faced Peach Perfect Loose Setting Powder. This is the one that smells like peach rings. It's lovely. It gives your skin a gorgeous airbrush finish. It keeps me really nice and matte throughout the day. And it goes beautifully with all the other peach products that I have. I own the entire collection. I bought them all like a crazy person, but I really, really like that line a lot. I also definitely want to keep this Becca Hydro Mist Set and Refresh Powder. This was like an unexpected favorite this year. Oh, also fingerprint magnet. That's gross. Anyway, I used a fair amount of this year because I think it just makes your makeup look beautiful. And while my skin is oily, I feel like because this is a more hydrating powder, it actually helps me to be less shiny throughout the day, because sometimes I think overly mattifying powders like dry my skin out too much and then kind of stimulate oil production, and this doesn't do that at all. So paired with a matte foundation, I think this is beautiful because it sets things down without making things too matte and too dry. I also want to keep this powder from Too Faced. This is their Born This Way Ethereal Setting Powder. I feel like nobody talks about this one anymore, but it's a beautiful setting powder. It also makes your skin look really, really airbrushed and flawless. It's very lightweight, very, very soft and fine on the skin. So this is what I've been enjoying a lot. I think it makes your makeup look beautiful, so want to keep this guy too. Here's where I get conflicted. This Milk Makeup Setting Powder and the Fenty Beauty one. I bought both of these and both of them are kind of expensive, so I think that is why I'm having a harder time letting either of these go, because I don't particularly love either of these, and I feel like they don't do the best job at keeping me from getting overly shiny throughout the day. But I like want them to work for me so bad because so many people love both of these products and I spent so much money on them that like I have a really hard time letting either of them go. But I know if I'm being 100% honest with myself, I don't prefer to reach for either of these over the powders I just showed you guys. And like, how much powder can one person use? Will I really ever actually use either of these up? Probably not. I honestly probably could declutter both of these, but I don't know if I'm ready to yet. I feel like of the two of them, the Milk Makeup one annoys me more with the packaging just because I feel like the netting makes it really difficult to get the powder out of here. So I think I will pass the Milk Makeup on as much as it pains me to get rid of it. And the Fenty, I don't know, guys. Part of me feels like I should just declutter this, but then another part of me is like, I love the packaging. I put this in flat lays. It smells nice, and like, I know so many people love it, so I feel like I should love it, but that's not a good reason to keep something. I don't know. I'm gonna hold on to it for right now, but maybe I will come around and be a little bit more ruthless. Then there's this loose setting powder from Juno & Co. This is their Juno Blur Makeup Setting Powder in the Brighten version. I was thinking about decluttering this, but I might end up holding on to it because I feel like I've primarily used this to set all over my face, and for all over the face setting, I don't think it controls shine enough for me, but I feel like I should be using it more as an under eye setting powder, and I don't know that I've had it long enough to really properly test it just for that purpose and test it with enough of different concealers to know whether or not I like it for that reason. So I think I can hold on to this. I think I will let myself keep this one. And then you, Pretty Vulgar. This is a nice powder. I actually do like this formula quite a bit, and the packaging on this is adorable. This one actually comes with its own little puff, which is really gross. I need to clean that. But I actually do like this puff, and I prefer a puff actually over a brush for setting down my entire face, because I just feel like it applies the powder a little bit nicer and kind of like melds it with your foundation. So, part of me, again, thinks I should probably declutter this because I don't need a gajillion powders, but I actually did kind of like this one. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll end up keeping this over the Fenty. I'm gonna keep it in my keep pile for now, but we'll see. Then I've got these two loose sunscreen stick powder type things. This is an easy one. This Tarte Guard one from Tarte is expired. So this I can get rid of. That's an easy declutter. I did actually really like the powder that's in here, but I found the brush to be kind of a pain. Like, it's cool the way that this works, but I feel like I always had an issue with trying to get powder out through the bristles of this. I kind of felt like it got stuck or embedded down in here, and I could never really tell if I was using enough, so I didn't like that about this guy. But I also have this Derma E one, and this is newer, so this is something I can throw in my purse and use, especially in the spring and summer. I mean, really could use this year-round to touch up your SPF throughout the day, and also to control some shine. And this is good through July of 2021, so that is an easy keep for me. And then finally, there were the pressed powders and powder foundations. My favorite of all of these is the Wander Beauty Wanderlust powder foundation. This is the best powder foundation I've ever used. It is unreal how gorgeous this stuff is. It's so creamy, it's so full coverage, it makes your face look incredible, and it's so easy to use. My sponge is absolutely disgusting right now, so please ignore that. But I do actually wash this every week or two when I'm using this regularly, so that way this is not super grimy and full of bacteria. But I actually do like using the puff in here to apply this because it's kind of almost like a microfiber sponge, and you can just swipe the product on so beautifully. It's super easy and fast, and it's just fantastic. So this is something I'm definitely keeping, but I kind of feel like at this point it's getting a little old and I should be trying to pan it. The Bare Minerals Bare Pro is another holy grail favorite of mine that I've repurchased at least 2 or 3 times before. So this is another one I know I'm definitely going to keep. I really like this in the summertime when I want super easy, no fuss makeup, because it's just takes 2 seconds to buff this stuff on. Sometimes I won't even use concealer if I don't have a lot to cover up or I don't really care and I just want a little bit of evening out in my skin and to reduce shine. So this is another one that's an easy keep. I probably can declutter this though. This is the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation. This is nice, but I didn't absolutely love it. And knowing how many other powders I'm keeping, I feel like I can probably part ways with this guy. I also was kind of on the fence about the Too Faced powder foundation. This was okay, but I didn't like it as much as the Bare Minerals or the Wander Beauty. This is better, I feel almost as a setting powder than a powder foundation, just because it really doesn't have a ton of coverage. Do I want to keep this? Do I want to declutter it? I don't know. I feel as far as a setting powder goes, I have so many other options, so I probably don't really need to hold on to this. I don't know. All right, Lauren, be strong. You didn't fall in love with it. You probably don't need it. Just pass it along. And then the last guy here is this Kiko Magical Holiday Powder that's also a giant fingerprint magnet. This I just recently picked up, so I don't think I'm going to declutter this. Since it's a baked powder, it's very firmly pressed and feels soft but very dry to the touch, and I feel like it actually gives your skin a really nice satiny finish to it. So I've been enjoying this since my skin has been a little bit less crazy oily recently, for just lightly setting down my makeup without making it look too matte. And then the final category in complexion are my setting and priming sprays. This also out of control. I do not need this many of these because I don't use them on a daily basis. I should, given how much I have here, but I know realistically I don't. I also have really strong preferences for most of these, so I think this is going to be a really easy one to get through. My favorite setting spray is the Too Faced Peach Mist. I have a full size and a little travel baby size here, so this is one I know I'm going to keep because this keeps me looking super matte and flawless for many, many hours, and I really enjoy it. I also generally like the Urban Decay All Nighter. This one I feel like does really help to lock your makeup in and make it last longer. it's not necessarily oil controlling, but it just prolongs the wear of your makeup. I like this when I'm going to like an event or a party or something, and I really want to make sure that things are like locked in all night long, especially with my blush and bronzer and highlight. So I think I'm gonna keep this guy around. And then this I just purchased recently. I redeemed some Ulta points to get this guy. It's the Cover FX mattifying setting spray. So this is something I'm just starting to try out, so I want to keep it around for a while. But it is a mattifying setting spray that doesn't have denatured alcohol in it, which the Urban Decay and Too Faced ones I just showed you do. So this is something I'm really curious to try and see how it compares to my other favorites. One that I know I want to get rid of is this Pixi Makeup Fixing Mist. The nozzle on this hates me. I don't know why, but for some reason, it's this specific product especially. I think because it's so sticky, the nozzle gets clogged up so easily and it drives me absolutely insane. I also think this one has denatured alcohol in it as well. Yes, it's the second ingredient. So I don't know. I just feel like this frustrates me too much and I don't like it as much as I like my other setting sprays. So I think I need to get rid of it. I'm also pretty over this Catrice Prime and Fine Multi-Talent Fixing Spray. It's not that this is necessarily a bad product. I just feel like it makes me too greasy looking throughout the day. This I think would be excellent for someone with normal to dry skin because it does a good job of making your makeup look more skin-like and kind of melding everything together. But it just makes me too shiny. It doesn't do enough for me with oily skin. So I have like a little bit left in here. I don't know if you guys will be able to see maybe from this angle, but there's like a little bit of product left. I tried to make myself finish it up, but it just makes my makeup not look as good. So why would I want to force myself to make my makeup not look as good? Then I've got a couple of minis here. I've got MAC Fix Plus and this Ofra Makeup Fixer. I'm going to keep both of these. The MAC Fix Plus I just keep around to foil eyeshadows. I don't like using this as an all-over setting spray because, again, oily skin. This makes you look a little too dewy if you're oily, in my opinion. And the Ofra Makeup Fixer, I haven't tested out too much. And then all of these guys are more like priming or hydrating sprays, so I definitely don't need to keep all of them. I do really like the Too Faced Hangover RX spray. This one smells like coconuts, and it's just super juicy and refreshing and really nice. So if my skin needs like an extra pick-me-up, sometimes I'll spray this on right before I put on foundation, so I think I would like to keep this. And then this Smashbox Primer Water. This is alright. I don't like this Serene Greens scent. I got this product in a BoxyCharm. I would never have otherwise purchased this particular one because it smells kind of like a plant, like it smells like a green juice or something like that, which isn't my favorite. But, you know, it is nice to kind of hydrate the skin. I don't think it does as much for me as the Too Faced one does. So, I don't know. There's still a fair amount in here. I think I probably could just pass this along to a friend. Maybe they would like to try it out. And then I've got the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Rose 3-in-1 Primer Water and the Wander Beauty Glow Getter Mist. Both of these are nice. They are at very different price points. Both of them were gifted to me. And honestly, I think if I was going to keep one of the two, I probably would keep the Wander Beauty one just because this has a few more skincare ingredients in it than the Wet n Wild. But like if you're looking for a super affordable primer water, this one is decent. Alright guys, so we made it. This is everything that I'm keeping as far as my complexion products go. I feel like this is a pretty good collection. So many things in here that I know that I really love. I feel very excited looking at this spread here to use all of these things. I definitely don't need to purchase any more of these products for a while. I think I might put myself on an unofficial no-buy for complexion products just because I really want to try to get through some of these, especially knowing that I have several products that are almost finished. I'd really like to use some things up before I add anything new to my collection. But I think this is a pretty solid amount. I've got plenty of options, but not like so many that I feel overwhelmed. And then as far as what I'm getting rid of, this is my pile to pass along to friends and family. It's definitely modest compared to what I'm keeping, but you know, definitely a few things that I think somebody else could use and appreciate. And then this is my trash pile. So these are things that are old, expired, mostly used up that I wouldn't feel comfortable passing along to somebody else. But this actually makes me feel pretty good in that I hate throwing makeup away. And, you know, I feel like this is not too much. And most of these products I have used a fair amount. They got plenty of love from me. So, It was their time. It was their time to say goodbye. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today while we went through all of my foundations and primers and powders and setting sprays and whatnot. If you're a fan of makeup collection and decluttering kinds of videos, I hope you will consider giving this one a thumbs up. I appreciate your support so much. And if you're new, I hope you'll consider subscribing, coming back, and hanging out with me again. We've got 4 more videos to go. Super jazzed about it. And yeah, on that note, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.